Hey, this is Russ. Yeah, I'm back out on the road again. So what am I riding today? I've got the HiPeak Elias. Or, if you speak Spanish, maybe it's Elias. Yeah, I figured I'd take this bike out one more time. This is a folding bike. Yeah, folding bike. Mechanical disc brakes, folding bike, 2 battery option. Yeah, it's a nice bike. It reminds me a lot of my other folding bike. Yeah, they kind of look almost identical. There's some differences, of course, but very similar. So yeah, I think a lot of times we all want to take the big, heavy-duty bikes, the expensive bikes. Sometimes you don't need to. Yeah, this bike does perfectly well. Get you around town, not a problem. I think for somebody who says I don't see myself doing some major, big, huge, monstrous trips. I just take it around town, or maybe I do take big trips, but I go, go a distance, and I need to take a bike with me. This would be one to consider, because you can fold it up, stick it in the back of an SUV, and away you go. Now, let me say something about this whole thing with the folding bikes, all right? I think a lot of people think that if they get a folding bike, they can just stick it in there and go. Well, I'm going to tell you, these bikes still are fairly heavy. They're not lightweight. I know even for me, I usually have Mrs. Wright and me moving that bike into the car. I mean, I guess one person could do it if you were strong enough to do it and you were able to manipulate big, heavy things. But I tell you, it's a lot easier when 2 people are lifting the bike and sticking it in. Yeah. The alternative you can do, some people do, is they'll buy like one of those 55-gallon containers. You go to Home Depot, buy one of those storage container things. You know what I'm talking about. It's a long rectangular thing with a lid. One of those. You don't need the lid, but you get one of those things and you fold it up and you stick it inside the container. But what we do with our other bike is we bought folding pedals. That makes it easier to put it inside those containers. All right. If you don't do folding pedals, the pedals stick up a little bit, and it makes it really hard to get it into the container. So folding pedals are not that expensive. I think, what does it cost? Something like $18, maybe, something like that. It's not real expensive, but it's well worth doing that if you plan to put it in one of those containers. I mean, even if you plan to fold it up and just put it in the car in the back of the SUV, the folding pedal does come in handy if you do that. So I had been seriously thinking about just buying folding pedals for any of the folding bikes that we have and then stick it on every one of them. Because it just makes it easier. Now, for us, when we take our other folding bikes, we do have a rear rack for the back of our car, and I think it's still easier to just lift that folding bike and stick it on the rear rack. Now, you might think, well, what do you need the folding bike for? Well, it's lighter. Those rear car racks don't handle the heaviest of weight, and of course, being a lighter type bike, it's a lot easier to transport, and you don't have to worry about it bouncing on the back of your vehicle on a big heavy car rack. So we had already decided that going forward, we're going to use that car rack as much as we can rather than sticking bikes inside the car. Now, I had mentioned before that the one time that we would stick it in the cars, like if we were going to go on an overnight trip or something, and we were told that we couldn't bring our bikes inside the rooms of the hotel or motel that you might be staying at. In that case, I would like to leave my bike inside the car. I don't think I would like to leave it out on the car rack and just out in the parking lot for anyone to mess with. See what I'm saying? That way, a folding bike put into the car makes a lot more sense. But otherwise, if we have an opportunity, I think we would much rather put it on the back of a car rack. It's a little bit easier. I mean, even then, I still suggest 2 people lifting it up onto the car rack. Those things aren't that easy to deal with either. But still, much easier to do that than stick it inside a car. So, now I've been talking about this bike to drive thing that's coming up on Labor Day weekend. You guys are probably sick of hearing about it. But I think when we bring our 3 bikes at that point, I'm gonna disconnect the car rack and stick it inside the SUV when we're gone away from the car, because there's gonna be a lot of cars out there. Everyone knows that everyone's coming in for this bike to drive thing, and people will know that there's bike racks out on bikes, out on cars, and there's an easy way to steal it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna disassemble it and stick it on the inside of the car. Lock it up in the car. Kind of a hassle, but you know, you gotta safeguard your stuff. I mean, if someone stole the rack, how would we get the bikes back home? Right? So yeah, it becomes an issue. Yeah, you always have to kind of look out for stuff like that. I mean, as much as we would like to think, you know, there's no crime that occurs, crime happens. I mean, my daughter once said, "Dad, you're more nervous about crime than anyone else." Well, yeah, I have a reason to be. I've seen it. I've seen people. I've seen victims. I've worked with cases where the victims had to deal with all this various types of crimes. Yeah. So yeah, I don't trust anything. I'm always looking out for what's possible can happen, what can happen out while we're outside and everything. So anyway, where are we going today? I have no idea. Just like always, I have no idea. I just want to get out. And again, these routes are always the same because this is the only way out. This is the only way out of my areas. Yeah, I mean, I could take other streets, obviously, but then you're on big major streets. So I found a route I can do that gets me outside of the area to go to different places, but you gotta ride the same streets to get there. Now, I could start the videos further and further away, and it'll look like we're doing different things, but I don't. I always start the videos at the same exact spot, if you ever notice. Oh, and people said, yeah, we know your neighborhood. That's not my neighborhood. I just start the videos there. So, I got to start somewhere, and I chose that would be the spot that I would start. But yeah, you do get to know my general areas, the general areas that I ride through that, I don't want to be riding for like 15 minutes and then start my video, right? So I ride several minutes and then I kick it in, yeah. So yeah, you get to kind of know these neighborhoods because we've seen the same things over and over. I mean, like I said, one of you guys even said, I'm beginning to recognize the people. Yeah, the people that we pass, yeah. I think you probably recognize it better than I do. I don't really pay attention to the people that much when I'm riding. I'm actually looking more at other things. Or I'll look at them and see what they're doing, but I don't really pay attention to the people. But I guess if you've been watching my videos long enough, you might start recognizing the same people that we pass all the time. So this HiPeak, the HiPeak actually comes with 2 batteries. If you want that there's an option. You can buy it with 2 batteries or you can buy it with 1 battery. I always say if the batteries are reasonable enough, get the 2 batteries. Yeah, because you might want to go farther. I mean, I don't have the second battery with me right now. I didn't strap it to the rear rack this time, but let's say you're riding around and you say, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know how long I'll be out there. Yeah, bring the second battery. You don't want to be stuck somewhere and not have a battery. I mean, these bikes are heavy enough, you don't want to be riding it without the battery because it'll be like riding a heavy bike. So, unless you want that extra exercise, but not for me. Not for me. There you go. Sometimes you hear the gears, you're like, did it connect well or not? Sometimes if you jiggle the derailleurs a little bit, sometimes it's enough to get it to be connected properly. Yeah, so anyway, these folding bikes, they're step-through models, but I'll tell you that the distance between your chest and the handlebar, once you hop off, it's pretty close because the saddle, of course, has like a little nose to the saddle, so that kind of pushes you forward. You got to clear that with your butt, right? So when that happens, that pushes you forward, that pushes you into the handlebar. So sometimes that's why my cell phone mount gets skewed, because I'm bumping into it after I hop off the bike. Right now I hopped off, but I'm like leaning sideways on it, in the sense that I'm not standing, I'm not straddling it. I'm actually standing more on my right leg than anything, so that I have a little more clearance, so I don't bump into this handlebar light. I have an external handlebar light on here right now. And then to get up on the bike quicker, what I do is I throttle, and then I step up onto the bike. That makes it easier to get on the bike and get started right away. A lot of people do that, where they don't start pedaling right away. They just kind of step onto the pedals to sit onto the seat, and then you throttle at the same time, which pushes the bike forward, so you don't have to pedal hard to get the bike started. My wife does that too. She throttles to get started, but that's the only time she ever throttles. I mean, really, she doesn't throttle at all. She pedals the entire time, as we all know. I'm going to turn here. She pedals the entire time, and so the throttle helps her get moving, and then she just backs off. I mean, we all use this accessory, half twist throttle accessory that turns it into a thumb throttle. It's 3D printed thing. To me, it makes it easier to do that, to get the bike started, because I just kind of grab. I take my hand, I just grab it and push down, and then the throttle's moving. I mean, you could twist it, but I find that consistently I'm able to hold a speed easier by just pushing down with my thumb here. I mean, I don't use the tip of my thumb. That would be tough to kind of do. I use the whole thumb. I use the meaty, fleshy portion of the thumb to push down, and that gives me control. I can back off. I can feather it. So I personally prefer the thumb throttle attachment to it. I've been used to it. That's probably why I prefer it, because I'm just used to it. But I put these things on way earlier when I first started riding my e-bikes. I bought one from a guy who was 3D printing them himself and selling it to people who had rad power bikes. And I had a rad Rover 5 at the time. So I bought one from him. I think he charged like $5 or something. It wasn't expensive. And I got used to using it. Then I found, of course, that my local library will print these things as well. So I went on to one of these 3D sharing sites and found somebody who designed a 3D printable thumb throttle attachment, which is what this is. And I've been doing that ever since. Yeah, since the library doesn't really charge for the service, they only charge for the plastic. It's like 50 cents. And then I went to AliExpress and bought a whole bunch of screws and little nuts that fit the size of the opening of the screw section. And so I bought like 50 nuts and 50 screws. And then every time I get another bike, I put another one of these on, right? But I do usually strip them off. When I sell the bikes, I usually take it off, because the bikes don't come with it. And I don't want people saying, oh, something happened, it failed or something, and now I blame you, okay? So I put it back to what the factory sells you the bike as. So if you ever buy one of my bikes, you're not going to get this on there. You have to get your own, all right? But I have the link to the 3D printable file, and that's free. If you ever want to look it up and you can't find the link, if it's not on one of my videos, just go to YouTube, do the search in the search function of YouTube, type in Russ is Right thumb throttle. You'll find it. Yeah, you'll find it. I think it says something like, will you pay $1.75 for this, or something like that. I don't know what it is. I'm factoring the cost of the screw and the nut and everything. So yeah, it's relatively cheap. So if you want to get one for yourself, that's how you get one. Get it 3D printed. Check your local libraries. I think a lot of times these libraries and things, they offer services that we don't really know. And I think more libraries now are starting to get 3D printers for that service for their patrons. So yeah, just make a phone call to your library. Say, hey, do you do this service? If not, do you know anyone who does a free service like that? They might know. Libraries offer a lot more services than you think. They really do. I remember we go to the library before. This is before streaming services, but we would borrow DVDs from the library because they had current DVDs available. I mean, all right, you may have to wait a little bit because somebody else has borrowed it. I think they give you like a 3-day time period to watch the movie. But yeah, we would borrow DVDs there and watch our movies that way. Nowadays, we just watch Netflix, or YouTube or something. But yeah, they still offer the DVD services. We kind of figured, why would people pay $2 or $3 for Redbox or with some of the other DVD rental things when you can just get it at the library? I guess if you need to see it like now, and then of course then you pay for that. But if you could wait a little bit, and I mean, there's plenty of other things to watch. You can borrow some stuff from the library. We went to the library so much before that we were there a couple times a week. Yeah, just in and out borrowing DVDs, and my wife likes to read a lot, so although I don't think she's read too much lately, she'd borrow books. And then, of course, the libraries started doing it online, where you can borrow a book digitally and just read it off your iPad. But it works the same way. I think they give you a certain amount of time you can borrow the book for on your iPad, and then you have to return it. Essentially, they disable it from your iPad somehow. And so then somebody else can read it. So you don't get to keep it once you download it onto your iPad. You have to send it back, so to speak. So, look at this over here. Zenleaf. You know what that is? It says dispensary. You know what that does? Legal marijuana? No, sorry. I know some people do it, but not me. I think I have a hard time thinking about that because, you used to put people in jail for for having marijuana. Now it's legal. Well, kind of weird to think about that. I mean, but okay, those guys were illegally bringing in drugs. Yeah, at that time it was not legal. Yeah, I remember working at the police department, and I had to fingerprint this suitcase that was loaded with marijuana. Yeah, the entire lab smelled. I don't know how many pounds that thing was. Figure an American Tourister type luggage. Fill that up and cram it with marijuana. That's how much there was. I've always said I've had my hands on more drugs than drug dealers. Yeah, just fingerprinting all the evidence and everything. I recall one time there was somebody who would put a whole bunch of marijuana inside a storage unit, where you can rent those storage units. Yeah, filled it all up. So we got it, brought it back to the police department. I didn't bring it back, but I remember somebody did. And they didn't know where to put the stuff. I mean, think about a whole storage unit size. So they stuck it in the garage, in the police garage. I went in there, I go, man, this place reeks. The whole place smelled like marijuana. I've always said that every crime lab I've ever gone to from different departments, they all smell like marijuana. Every one of them. It's a lot of stuff, man. This stuff is powerful. Yeah, marijuana, cocaine, LSD. Yeah, I've seen it all. Yeah, we gotta fingerprint their evidence and stuff. You know, there's different techniques for fingerprinting different types of surfaces. You know, sometimes, yeah, we do use super glue. Yeah, if you've ever heard about that, it's called cyanoacrylic. Yeah, that's basically crazy glue, right? They found out that you know, I think the story goes that, you know, when they were packaging super glue or crazy glue, you know, the workers would put the little tube inside the little bubble. You know, there's a cardboard, then there's like a plastic bubble that holds the glue container, the small little glue container. They were finding fingerprints on the inside of those containers, and they were like, what is going on with, why is there fingerprints that are stuck on here? And well, the super glue was developing latent fingerprints. That's how they found out that if you use super glue to develop fingerprints on plastic items, you know, and other type of items, not just plastic, it'll create like a little film, and then you dust it for prints just like you normally do, and the latent print powder will adhere to that developed fingerprint. You could dust it a couple of times and lift it a couple of times as well, because, you know, that fingerprint's kind of stuck on there now. It's not coming off. It's like part of that item. So we'd fingerprint, you know, guns and knives and all sorts of items. We would put it inside what we call our fingerprint tank, which is essentially just a fish tank. think about like a 5 or 10 gallon fish tank. You put the packet of super glue. I mean, it comes in packets for law enforcement. You'd open it up, you stick it in there, and you put it in a damp, humid environment. So we put like a beaker full of warm water in there, along with the item that you want to fingerprint, and then it would develop over time. I don't know how long we used to do it for. It varies. Just kind of keep an eye on it. Then we take the item out. Then we use fingerprint powders, and then we develop the fingerprints on there, and then we've got the evidence. Then we lift it with lift tape, fingerprint tape. Put it on a fingerprint card, label it, sign it, keep the chain of evidence going, and then yeah, we'd submit it for a latent print examiner to check out the print, and if your fingerprint happens to be on file, then we found your print, right? Yeah, cool things. I remember one time we worked on a case. It was actually my second homicide. I'm going to tell you some homicide cases and things. I didn't actually go to the homicide scene. I did a scene for a homicide the day before that this happened. And I remember going to my first autopsy, and I remember making a comment there saying, well, at least it wasn't a stinker, meaning a decomposed body. And then I remember the evidence tech told me, he says, well, because you mentioned that, chances are your very next homicide is going to be a stinker. I go, yeah, right, sure. Yeah, guess what the second homicide was? Decomposed body, yeah. So, yeah, he was right. I didn't go. I was still a student at the time. I had an exam the next day I had to study for. But he went to that homicide, and he's cursing me left and right. He says, it's Russ's fault. He had to make that mention. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And nobody wants to work that kind of case. I mean, the smell is so bad. And the sights aren't too great either. Nobody wants to work that, so he's cursing me up and down. He says, I'm going to call that guy, but then he remembered I had an exam the following day. He says, okay, I'm going to let him take his test, let him pass the thing. But when he comes into the crime lab tomorrow, he's going with me to the autopsy. So yeah, so I come in to the police department. You know, I'm still a student at this point, still learning to do this stuff, but I was interning there. And he's cursing me up and down. He says, you're coming with me to the autopsy. I go, yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, it was a problem. The smell was so bad. The smell was so bad. Yeah, I'm gonna head back. I don't have enough battery to do this entire ride. I'll find a spot and then I'll head back. The smell was so bad that I said, yeah, let me turn around here. I was about ready to quit the program. I mean, it was that bad. It was so bad that I could smell the guy now. you don't forget those smells. So anyway, so that case, okay, that case happens. I go to the autopsy. I almost tossed my cookies from how bad the smell was. Came home, took shower upon shower. My wife said, "I can still smell you." Yeah, it was bad. So anyways, let's fast forward about a year or two, year and a half maybe. Now I get a full-time job at the district attorney's office. And so one of the first cases that was handed to me happened to be this homicide. Yeah, I'm looking at the autopsy photos. I'm looking at the crime scene photos. I was looking at the crime scene photos. I go, wow, this is interesting. You know, I didn't put two and two together yet. And then I got to the autopsy photos and I'm looking at it. I go, yeah, well, hey, this kind of looks familiar. Why does it look familiar? I mean, we're talking about a year and a half later. And I go, wait a minute. This is my refrigerator man case. Yeah, they killed the guy and stuffed him in a refrigerator, taped it all up with duct tape, left the refrigerator outside in the hot San Diego sun. Eventually, neighbors started smelling this and they called the police. And of course, there's a body in there. I said, this is my refrigerator case. And so I said to the supervisor, I says, I can't take this case. And he said, why not? What are you, squeamish? I said, no. I says, I was at the autopsy. I says, I don't think I should be working this case if I actually had some part of the investigation as well. I could be called as a witness for something. Chances are not, but I mean, it could happen. So he agreed. He goes, yeah, this doesn't seem like something you should be handling. So he reassigned a case to another person, and she was also new at the time. She had just got hired on at the DA's office, just like I did. And she took one look at the photo. She goes, "Oh, thanks a lot." Yeah, it was bad. I do have a video on that, by the way. If you go to the Russ is Right channel, you'll see a thing that says playlists. If you click on the playlist, you'll see a section called forensics. Yeah, I talk about some of my forensic cases there. In case you didn't know, in case you never really investigated the Russ is Right YouTube channel itself, go to the main page of the YouTube channel. You'll see there's music. That's, you know, stuff that I've played guitar and sang and played keyboards, drums, all that kind of stuff. You can hear what I sound like there too. You'll find my knee replacement videos. You'll find the eBike videos. They're all categorized. I mean, if you ever wanted to watch eBike videos, just go to the playlist. There's several hundred of them in there, right? Yeah, we talk about a lot of different things, so you never know on any given day what we're going to talk about. So yeah, that's my refrigerator man case. You can watch the video about it, go more in depth. I have some other cases in there. It's the ones that are kind of highlighted a little bit. You know, there's a whole bunch of other cases, but yeah, not worth mentioning on many of them. But anyways, let me get back to this refrigerator man case. How we broke the case is, you know, I told you that they duct taped the refrigerator. Well, we found the guy's prints on the inside sticky part of the duct tape. Yeah, now if you weren't the guy who duct taped it all up, how would you get your fingerprints in there? Think about that. So we used some special fluid called gentian violet to develop that print on there, and then we photographed it. Well, I didn't do it. The evidence tech in charge did it. But yeah, that case made it on Forensic Files, I believe. Yeah, I was watching. I don't usually watch those things, but I just happened to be turning the stations and I saw, oh look, here's a thing called Forensic File. and they're talking about this refrigerator man case. I go, hey, I was part of that case. Yeah, our case on TV. It's not the only case that was on TV. I had a couple other cases that were on TV as well. Go to that forensics link. Yeah, if you want to find out what other cases, go there. You might recognize one that made national news. Yep. The defendant was on Oprah. Had a couple made-for-TV movies made with it. Yep. Some famous cases. Now you might think, well, who played you, Russ? Who played you on those cases on the made-for-TV movies? Nobody, because they never mentioned the support guys like me. They mentioned the attorney, they mentioned the detective, all that kind of stuff, but they never mentioned the support guys. Yeah, lab guys, we never get any fame. I've been on television a number of times. Yeah, okay, I'm on television all the time now with YouTube. But okay, we're talking national TV or even local TV. I've been on TV before. Working cases. That would be local news, I guess, then. I've been on that. Yep. And now I run on your television all the time. Watch Russ is Right, you see me all the time. Alright, so how's this HiPeak doing? It's doing pretty good, actually. I thought I'd give it a little love and give it a ride, just to give it a feel. Yeah, eventually if you buy bikes like this, you want to outfit certain things on it. I have the cell phone mount on the handle, the stem, the handlebar stem, actually. I mean, there's not a lot of space on these things, so I have it further down. I don't always look at the phone. I just need something to hold it. And then I put the blinking light here, just so people can know that I'm there. I'm not going really fast right now. I'm only doing about 17 miles an hour. There's a car behind me. I'm surprised he's not just passing me. Probably watching me. Yeah, a big guy on a small little bike. Yellow vest. Yeah, I think we better pedal for a while. I'm using up batteries. I'm throttling the entire time. I've gone pretty far out. I wasn't intending to go this far out, really. But if you pedal, you kind of help with your battery though, so let's pedal for a bit. My battery meter's jumping between 3 and 4 bars. Well, we know that those things aren't 100% accurate. You never know what it really is. But yeah, I think I've gone further than I really want to. I might be pedaling this thing home. Probably should have brought that second battery. Yeah, the thing is, you start talking, you kind of lose track of where you are and what you're doing. Just kind of keep moving. So that's what happened. And this is why I tell you guys, it doesn't hurt to have a second battery with you. Yeah, it adds weight, cuts into your overall range because you got more weight on your bike, but on the long run, you don't have range anxiety then, where you're worrying about whether you're going to make it home or not. We really don't want to worry about getting home. Okay, well, yeah, there's a long light. Well, it's not that long, I guess. Okay. We will pedal. We will help it along and pedal. I'm on pedal assist level 5 right now. I think if you have stronger legs than me and you're pedaling harder, you're going to pass 20 miles an hour. I think I unlocked this thing for it's slated as 25 miles an hour. I don't know whether we really ever got that because of my weight. I know we got at least like 23. And you got to pedal down hard, you know, to help it along. Otherwise, if you're just moving your legs like I typically do, because it's got a cadence sensor, the bike will automatically move anyway. I don't think that's really helping the bike any. If you're pushing down hard and actually pedaling and making it move, you're oh, look at this old car. Kind of looks like a Model T. Is that a Model T? I don't know. Cars waving me on. I usually wave thank you for them when they do that. Gotta let them know that you know. Otherwise, how do they know you're coming forward? Yeah, you gotta put some effort in. But yeah, you know, you do start ghost pedaling after a while. A lot of these bikes do. The recent Magicycle Deer Step Through 20 tried to help that a little bit, but they made their chain ring a little bit bigger. It's got a 53T. I think what normally comes on the thing is like 44. So by making that chain ring a little bit bigger, the chain ring is the thing that's the little cog that's around your pedals. You know, that thing, the one by your pedal. By making that one bigger, it helped eliminate a lot of the ghost pedaling. But when you start going past like 20 miles an hour, yeah, you're ghost pedaling again. This is why, although they claim eliminates ghost pedaling, I don't use that word because I know you don't really 100% eliminate it. You minimize it. I think that would have been a better choice of words, but hey, I didn't write it. But I appreciate it, though. I appreciate that they made the effort to make it less of a ghost pedaling thing. I mean, I wish all manufacturers would start changing that, make it. I mean, they know that we're riding faster now. A lot of us are, and so moving it up would be good. But I think even so, if they took the rear freewheel and changed it from, I think what usually for the high gears like 14T, if they went to like 11, and then also included that the 52 or 53T chain ring, you'd probably eliminate the ghost pedaling then at that point. Yeah, I know Euphree, they did it. They didn't change the chain ring, I don't think, but they did change the freewheel. Or I don't know if there's a cassette in there. There's a difference between cassette and freewheel, but you know, basically everyone knows what we're talking about. It's the gears in the back. Okay. Euphree went down to an 11T. I don't think I've ghost pedaled that one yet. I'm gonna have to check it next time. So what's been happening with the Euphree? Let me tell you what's been happening with the Euphree. You know, I have the one Euphree available for sale because I have two of the bikes that are kind of very similar. One has a cadence sensor, one has the torque sensor. The new one has the torque sensor on it now. So I'm selling the one that has the cadence sensor on it. That's the blue one. It looks really nice, really. So we take that bike usually to go grocery shopping. Yeah, Saturdays, Mrs. Wright and I sometimes go take our two bikes. We go grocery shopping. I mean, not the whole week's worth of groceries. It's just like little odds and end things, you know, like, oh, so-and-so's something's on sale. Let's go take a bike ride and pick that up, you know. And we were picking up watermelons and everything. I showed a photo of that before. Because the Euphree has two baskets. It's got a front basket and a rear basket. Well, that's just begging to be taken to go grocery shopping. It's a commuter bike, right? So we've been taking it for that. I don't usually show you guys that when we take that trip, but we do it. We try to do it almost every week. So the Euphree has been getting ride time. It's just it hasn't been getting video ride time. So my apologies to Euphree for that. But just know that we are utilizing the bike. Yeah, and it's become one of my more favorite bikes to take for that particular trip because of the double baskets there. So anyway, what else? Yeah, we got to take the Troxus out. Maybe I'll return this bike back, pull the Troxus out too. You know, these are some of the more recent bikes that came in. So anyways, as you know, I've been clearing out bikes one by one. I can't keep them all. I mean, I try my best to ride them as much as I can, but yeah, that living room has turned into a garage. It's a bike garage at this point. I mean, the entire floor space of the living room is eaten up by bikes. Yeah, it's become out of control. So we have to sell off some bikes. So I will keep the ones that I think I will ride the most, and then I'm going to sell off pretty much all the other ones. Sorry to the manufacturers, but I can't keep everybody's stuff. Now, they know, too, because many of the influencers, you know how I love that word, they do their one review because they're contracted to do one review for them, and then they sell off the bike immediately. Yeah, you get the most money that way if you sell it off because it's brand new. For me, I ride the bikes for a while. I haven't sold off many, but I'm starting to sell some of those off now because, you know, they'll be coming up to the end of the season faster than you think, and people don't want to buy it at the end of the season. They want to buy it and ride it. So I have to start considering moving things out now. And certain brands I will keep, like I said, you know, my Magicycles I tend to keep. The Himiways I tend to keep. I only got one Himiway now. Hopefully we'll get more in the future. But I tend to keep the ones that I feel comfortable riding all the time. Yeah, I'm going to keep those, of course. Others we will keep, like Mrs. Wright loves the Pedigo. I'll ride the Pedigo again too. I mean, there's just too many bikes to ride, and sometimes not all of them get the amount of attention that they should. But for Pedigo, know that Mrs. Wright rides that. She likes that bike a lot. She wants to take it on the bike to drive. I've been telling her that maybe the Jaguar Rundy might be a better choice because the maneuverability for the small 20-inch wheel might be easier than a 27-inch wheel bike. Don't know what she's going to end up doing. She still keeps talking about taking that instead. So she might, I don't know. I said either way, if she does, we should take the secondary battery with us because we have 2 batteries for the Pedigo as well. So at least one Jaguar Rundy will be going. My daughter will be riding that one. She'll be riding the one I usually ride. And then either the Pedigo or a second Jaguar Rundy will be used as well. And then I will be riding the Deere Step Through 20. I'll be taking second battery for that too. So every one of us will be having second batteries. I don't think the two ladies will be really needing that second battery, but you never know. Doesn't hurt to have it if you got it, right? So we'll take it with us. Strap it to the rear rack. Magicycle got me a second replacement. Where am I going here? I got to turn left. Sorry. They got me a replacement basket. I stole the basket off of the Jaguar Rundy, one of the Jaguar Rundys, and I put it on the Deere Step Through 20. Well, another one came in, so I'm going to have to replace that one. I really need an additional basket, really. I want to put one on the actual Deere 26-inch Deere step over 26-inch. The reason I got and when I had the flat, I couldn't do anything because all my tools were not with me because I didn't have a basket in the front to take my tools. I usually try to take my tools with me, but couldn't do it. There was no basket. I may have to ask Magicycle again for another one. Oh, sadly, my handler for Magicycle, who has been with me for a while now, she's moved on to another job. I think within Magicycle, I'm not sure. She didn't say. So yet again, we'll have another handler for Magicycle. You know, the only problem with that is when that happens, you know, you build a relationship with these people, and they kind of know what you like and what you need and what you do. Once that's built up, then they move them on to another job. Another person comes along, they got to learn all that all again. So you don't know how your relationship is every time they keep changing your contact person. So yeah, I think she's going to be my 5th handler in a year and a half or a year and 3/4 or something like that. Well, how long has it been? I think it was since March of last year. April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, about a year and a half. I'm going up on my 5th person. I mean, either these people don't like their job dealing with us, maybe we're a pain to deal with, or maybe it's considered a move and a step up to get to a better job, and so they do the contact with the influencers. I kind of think that would be an important job because you're in contact with. Hold on, too noisy right now. I had people cutting grass. You're in contact with the influencers. The influencers are basically your advertising source. I mean, they're the guys who are advertising your bikes and stuff. So if you keep changing the contact person, you could be changing your relationship with that advertising source. Right? I'm hoping that the replacement person will be just as good as the last one because she was really good. I mean, she was my 4th one, but of them all, she had been doing such a great job. Whenever I needed something or I had to deal with something, she took care of it. Not saying that the replacement person won't be able to do the same. I haven't met her yet, but I was told last night that she's moving on and this is going to be the new person that will be replacing me. So, well, best wishes to her. I really appreciate all the hard work she did. And yeah, I'm gonna miss her. She was really good. Now we get another new person. Hopefully she'll last a couple more months. Maybe the influencers drive them crazy. I don't know. I know I drive them crazy. I have a lot of requests. Can I get one of these? Can I get one of those? Can you fix this? Can you fix that? Here, have some tape, fix this. Fix that display screen, you know. But, you know, if they don't hear the feedback from guys like us, where are they going to hear it from? Hi. Good morning. Yeah, I mean, you either hear it from the influencers or you're going to hear it from your customers, right? So, I think it's better to hear it from the influencers. I mean, if you're hearing it from the customer, that's a customer complaint. You hear it from the influencers, and we're giving you advice as to how you might be able to improve the product and make it better for your company and maybe make more sales too, right? So, yeah. So I kind of view that that job as an important job because you're in contact with the people who are helping you promote your products, right? Help you promote your company. So yeah, good luck to her. I appreciate everything she did. And welcome to the new person. I've yet to meet her yet. I don't meet these people, but you know, you have correspondence with them. Yeah, because I drove the other person nuts. I was probably in contact with her 3-4 times a week. But yeah, hopefully I won't drive this one person nuts. Maybe I'm the person that's driving them all away. Gotta deal with that goofy RUSSISRIGHT guy. Drives me nuts. He's always in contact with me. Yeah, the other person, she's working late at night. Or early in the morning, one of the two. I don't know how it is. I guess it would be considered early in the morning for her because they're like 13 hours difference than us. Yeah, I gotta fix that thing. Let's see. I think it's being muffled by the hand grip. You know, the thing is with these hand grips that don't lock in place, when you've been holding it for a while, it's heating it up, they tend to spin a little bit. And so when that happens, it spins right up against the bell, and then there you go. It spins right up against the bell, so it's muting the bell. You know, same thing here. If you're not careful, it can go right up against the throttle, and then it'll keep the throttle running when you don't want to. So you need to be aware. You need to keep this area open. I told Magicycle this too. This is of course not being a Magicycle. This is the HiPeak. Is that They need to find a way to keep this away from the throttle. Otherwise, you know, a guy could find that he twists the throttle and it stays on. But I tell you guys, then you guys can take care of it. Alright, anyways, we're in the general area again. Hey, I appreciate you guys sticking around for the video, watching everything to the tail end. You guys are the loyal Russ is Right viewers that hang out with me for the entire ride. Appreciate it very much. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. It really helps me out. We're coming up very close to 16,000 subscribers now. Yeah, I think we're less than 100, I know that. Maybe 85 more, maybe? I'm guessing. Something like that. We'll hit 16,000. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys next time.